I do not know what anything is for. 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 Now let's do one of our practice periods together. You just look around and tell yourself, I do not know what that tree is for, or whatever you see. I do not know what anything is for. I do not know what that umbrella is for. I do not know what that bamboo is for. I do not know what anything is for. Now, you just look around and tell yourself, I do not know what that is for. 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 Keep looking at the item when you're, I do not know that is for. I do not know what that is for. Then move to a new item. I do not know what that is for. I do not know what that is for. Just keep looking around in your field of vision. I do not know what that is for. Just keep looking around. Do not know. I do not know what that is for. 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 I do not know what is for. I do not know what that is for. I do not know what it is for. I do not know what that is for. I do not know what that screen is for. I do not know what that bandana is for. I do not know what anything is for. I do not know what anything is for. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. I'm Forgiveness Willie. I kind of woke up this morning with the idea that I feel like I'm kind of like John the Baptist in a sense. You know, John the Baptist was crying in the wilderness to say, make ready for the Lord. And he said, repent, make ready for the Lord. Well, my message is, it's forgive. Make ready for yourself, for your brother and for God, all realizing you're all one in love. Anyway, here the crying from the Ozark wilderness, trying to get people to recognize the importance of forgiveness, which our textbook we use is A Course in Miracles, which I feel so privileged that I found this book. I hope you find it as exciting and as uplifting and as encouraging and of life-changing as I've found it. Anyway, thank you again for joining me. Okay, we're ready. This is lesson 25, which we're supposed to do. We did one of those practice periods while we were opening today. We're going to do 5 more today for 2 minutes each, where you just look around and tell yourself, I do not know what anything is for. here today it's that's lesson 25. Let's open it and read it. Here on, this is for Saturday, January 25th of 2025, and I'm recording this a few days before on Wednesday. Got pretty cold the last couple of days, down to 1 degree last night. Well, that night before, I'm not sure about last night, I didn't look. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this cold Ozark wilderness day, okay? In front of my bamboo. It's still nice and green. That 1 degree didn't hurt it. Or 0 degree, I think is what it was. I do not know what anything is for. That's Fahrenheit. Okay, I do not know what anything is for. Let's read through it. And we're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version of Course in Miracles. Purpose is meaning. Today's idea explains why nothing you see means anything. You do not know what it is for, therefore it is meaningless to you. Everything is for you. Therefore it is meaningless. Oh, you do not know what it is for, therefore it is meaningless to you. Everything is for your own best interests. Remember yesterday's lesson, I do not perceive my own best interests? Well, today he's saying that everything is for your own best interests. That is what it is for. That is its purpose. That is what it means. It is recognizing this, that your goals become unified. It is in recognizing this that what you see is given meaning. Everything God created is for us. And there's only one of us anyway. You perceive the world and everything in it as meaningful in terms of ego goals. These goals have nothing to do with your own best interests because the ego is not you. This false identification makes you incapable of understanding what anything is for. As a result, you are bound to misuse it. When you believe this, you will try to withdraw the goals you have assigned to the world instead of attempting to reinforce them. Another way of describing the goals you now perceive is to say that they are all concerned with personal interests. Since you have no personal interests, your goals are really concerned with nothing. In cherishing them, therefore, you have no goals at all, and thus you do not know what anything is for. Before you can make any sense out of the exercises for today, one more thought is necessary. Let me take this hat off so when I'm looking down, you can kind of still see my face. Before you can make any sense out of the exercises for today, one more thought is necessary. At the most superficial levels, you do recognize purpose. Yet purpose cannot be understood at these levels. For example, you do understand that a telephone is for the purpose of talking to someone who is not physically in your immediate vicinity. What you do not understand is what you want to reach him for. And it is this that makes your contact with him meaningful or not. Okay, so we know what the telephone is for, to talk to somebody. But that's not the level of meaningfulness that he's trying to get us to understand when we say today, I do not know what anything is for. Why do you want to get a hold of him? What's the purpose in that? It is crucial to your learning to be willing to give up the goals you have established for everything. The recognition that they are meaningless rather than good or bad is the only way to accomplish this. The idea for today is a step in this direction. 6 practice periods, each of 2 minutes duration, are required. Each practice period should begin with a slow repetition of the idea for today, followed by looking about you and letting your glance rest on whatever happens to catch your eye, near or far, important or unimportant, human or non-human, with your eyes resting on each subject you so select. Say, for example, I do not know what this chair is for. I do not know what this pencil is for. I do not know what this hand is for. Say this quite slowly, without shifting your eyes from the subject until you have completed the statement about it. then move on to the next subject and apply today's idea as before. Okay, so you're just going to, like we did when we opened, just going to look around, and whatever we see, we're going to say, I do not know what that, and name it, is for. And then move on to the next. Okay? And he says to start off by just saying the more general idea, I do not know what anything is for. And I usually end with that, the general idea too. And I generally do that with my eyes closed, but he didn't really say either way on this one. He's up to giving us 6 practice periods for 2 minutes each today. So we're up to 12 minutes of practicing. We'll slowly creep up till we get to about, I don't know, it kind of depends on how you count, but 15 minutes probably. I mean, he doesn't really ask us a lot. Maybe 15 minutes twice a day is at the highest point. 15, and it be mainly closed-eyed meditation. That's where we're headed to. But we got to do a little of both. All right, let's go back and look at our text reading. We're going to finish chapter 3, the innocent perception, and we're ready for Roman numeral 7, creating versus the self-image. Every system of thought must have a starting point. It begins with either a making or a creating, a difference we have already discussed. Their resemblance lies in their power as foundations. Remember, the simplest way to think the two differences, God creates out of nothing, and man makes out of something that God created. It might be, or out of something that already exists. That's the resemblance lies in their power as foundations. Their difference lies in what rests upon them. Both are cornerstones for systems of belief by which you live. It is a mistake to believe that a thought system based on lies is weak. Nothing made by a child of God is without power. It is essential to realize this because otherwise you will be unable to escape from the prison you have made. Paragraph 2. You cannot resolve the authority problem by depreciating the power of your mind. You cannot resolve the authority problem by depreciating the power of the mind. So even lies are not weak. They're still powerful because they were made by a child of God. To do so is to deceive yourself, and this will hurt you because you really understand the strength of the mind. You also realize that you cannot weaken it any more than you can weaken God. The, in quotes, devil is a frightening concept because he seems to be extremely powerful and extremely active. He is perceived as a force in combat with God, battling him for possession of his creations. The devil deceives by lies and builds kingdoms in which everything is in direct opposition to God. Yet he attracts men rather than repels them, and they are willing to sell him their souls in return for gifts of no real worth. This makes absolutely no sense. We have discussed the fall or separation before, but its meaning must be clearly understood. The separation is a system of thought real enough in time, though not in eternity. All beliefs are real to the believer. The fruit of only one tree was forbidden in the symbolic garden. Okay, he's calling it a symbolic garden. That should be worth our consideration. The forbidden tree is in the symbolic garden. That's in Genesis chapter 1, verse 17 specifically, but that whole chapter. The fruit of only one tree was forbidden in the symbolic garden, but God could not have forbidden it, or it could not have been eaten. And in other words, if God really forbade it, it couldn't be eaten, because whatever God says is what it is. Has to be. If God knows his children, and I assure you that he does, would he have put them in a position where their own destruction was possible? The forbidden tree was named the tree of knowledge, but God created knowledge and gave it freely to his creations. The symbolism here has been given many interpretations, but you may be sure that any interpretation that sees either God or his creations as capable of destroying their own purpose is in error. Okay, and that's nice to know. That gives us a way to interpret lots of different sacred texts. Let me read it again. The symbolism here has been given many interpretations, but you may be sure that any interpretation that sees either God or his creations as capable of destroying their own purpose is in error. Paragraph 4. Eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge is a symbolic expression for usurping the ability for self-creating. Taking God's power. This in creating yourself. This is the only sense in which God and his creations are not co-creators. Let me elaborate on that briefly. That God created me, and now I create in God's image. God extended himself in love and made us, and now we extend ourselves in love and create others. Okay, that's the idea. But we don't turn around and create God. He created us. It moves from God to us and on, the creative expression. But self-creating, is you can't turn around and say, well, I'm going to create who created me. That makes absolutely no sense at all. This is the only sense in which God and his creations are not co-creators. The belief that they are is implicit in the self-concept, or the tendency of the self to make an image of itself. Images are perceived, not known. Knowledge cannot deceive, but perception can. You can perceive yourself as self-creating, but you cannot do more than believe it. Okay, you can perceive yourself as self-creating, but you can't do any more than believe it. You cannot make it true. And as I said before, when you finally perceive correctly, you can only be glad that you cannot. That you cannot you can perceive yourself as self-creating, but you cannot do more than believe it. You cannot make it true. And as I said before, when you finally perceive correctly, you can only be glad that you cannot be self-creating and believe it, and even believe it's true. Until then, however, the belief that you can be self-creative is the foundation stone in your thought system, and all your defenses are used to attack ideas that might bring it to light. Oh my, he's given us something to really search internally about, huh? That's why I love this book. He gives us so many things that we can look deeper into our own souls and say, oh, I got this thought now about who created me, and maybe I should listen to my Creator instead of think that it's all up to me to decide who I am. You still believe you are an image of your own making. That's back up. Until then, and as I said before, when you finally perceive correctly, you can only be glad that you cannot. Until then, however, the belief that you can is the foundation stone, that you can create yourself, is the foundation stone in your thought system, and all your defenses are used to attack ideas that might bring it to light. You still believe you are an image of your own making. Your mind is split with the Holy Spirit on this point, and there is no resolution while you believe the one thing that is literally inconceivable, that you made yourself. And it's up to you to decide who you are. That is why you cannot create and are filled with fear about what you make. Paragraph 5. The mind can make the belief in separation very real and very fearful, and this belief is the devil. It is powerful, active, destructive, and clearly in opposition to God because it literally denies his fatherhood. Denying the fatherhood of God, that you were created by God, and now you can create in God's image, but you can't turn around and create God. Look at your life and see what the devil has made. But realize that this making will surely dissolve in the light of truth, because its foundation is a lie. Your creation by God is the only foundation that cannot be shaken. Your creation by God is the only foundation that cannot be shaken because the light is in it. Your starting point is truth, and you must return to your beginning. Much has been seen since then, but nothing has really happened. Yourself is still in peace, even though your mind is in conflict. So your self, your soul, your true identity is still in peace. But your mind, that mechanism of decision, that mechanism, the part of you that can make beliefs, it's, how's it say it? But your mind, oh, I've lost my place. Your creation by God is the only foundation that cannot be shaken because the light is in it. Your starting point is truth, and you must return to your beginning. And the beginning is capital B, your source, God. Much has been seen since then, but nothing has really happened. Your self is still in peace. That's capital S for self, the part of you that's one with God, the Christ in you. Your self is still in peace, even though your mind is in conflict. Okay, so that's where I was trying to get to. Your mind is in conflict because you believe that you are self-creative. And that's what we just haven't gone back far enough, he says. That's the next sentence. You have not yet gone back far enough, and that is why you become so fearful. As you approach the beginning, you feel the fear of destruction of your thought system upon you, as if it were the fear of death. There is no death, but there is a belief in death. So we need to go back a little further past the belief and see that, okay, there is a source here where I'm still at peace. Okay, in the last paragraph, 6. The branch that bears no fruit will be cut off and will wither away. And that's a quote Jesus had said, recorded in John chapter 15, verse 2. His next sentence is, be glad. The branch that bears no fruit will be cut off and will wither away. Be glad with an exclamation point. Why? The light will shine from the true foundation of life, and your own thought system will stand corrected. In other words, what's going to get cut off is your erroneous belief systems. Those are the branches that don't produce any fruit. That part of the mind needs to be corrected. That's what the miracle does. That's why we use forgiveness, to correct that. The branch that bears no fruit will be cut off and will wither away. Be glad. The light will shine from the true foundation of life, and your own thought system will stand corrected. It cannot stand otherwise. You who fear salvation are choosing death. Life and death, light and darkness, knowledge and perception are irreconcilable. To believe that they can be reconciled is to believe that God and His Son cannot. Only the oneness of knowledge is free of conflict. Your kingdom is not of this world because it was given you from beyond this world. Only in this world is the idea of authority problem meaningful. Only in this world is the idea of an authority problem meaningful. The world is not left by death, but by truth. Let's get our thoughts straightened out. Let's find out what's true. The world is not left by death, but by truth. And truth can be known by all those for whom the kingdom was created and for whom it waits, which would be all of us. All are called, but few choose to listen. So let's be the few that choose to listen now. All will listen in the end. All a matter of time. Okay, let's see what we've got going on around the world before we close with another 2-minute practice period about I do not know what anything is for. It's Maha Shivaratri Day, a Hindu celebration. I found it's either today or tomorrow. I even found some places that it's every month on the new moon, which is not until the 29th, so not exactly sure, but I did find one place that said Maha Shivaratri Day. The great Shiva, kind of like the Holy One, God, Christ. Maha, the great God. Feast of the Annunciation. That's a Catholic Christian holiday when celebrating when Gabriel came to Mary and said, hey, you're going to be born, you're going to be birthing the son, the Savior of the world, Jesus. Tatiana Day, which is in Russia. It's Tatiana was a woman saint. Was she? A woman saint in the I forget. Anyway, she's the patron saint of students, so it's also known as Students' Day in Russia. And then out of holidays and observances, I found Room of One's Own Day. You know, it's good for everybody to have a quiet place they can go and sit quietly in a warm place and contemplate. So I like that. Try to find a little place of your own. Burns Night, or Robert Burns Day. He was a poet. He called the Scottish poet. Was born on this day in 1759. Fluoride Day. I'm not real. I don't like the idea of adding fluoride to water by making everybody take it. If you want fluoride, get some fluoride supplements. Or just eat foods with fluoride in them, like potatoes and spinach, grapes, raisins. They are a lot of fluoride in them. IV Nurse Day. I appreciate a good IV nurse that knows how to find a vein. Thank you all. Seed Swap Day. Getting ready for the planting time. Trade some seeds with some of your friends and family. You know, tomatoes and peppers, you can go ahead and get them started and put them in a sunny window. Observe the Weather Day. Yeah, just a little encouragement there. Opposite Day. And it reminded me of that love and fear are opposites, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. It says that in the introduction of Course in Miracles. And what it's realizing is that once you've realized, yes, fear and love are opposites, but once you realize that love is all there is, well, then there's no opposite anymore. It's all-encompassing. Saint Dwynwen's Day. She's a British saint. She's a Welsh patron saint of lovers. And the word means she who leads a blessed life. Saint Dwynwen's. Anyways, patron saint of lovers. Thank you, Mother Day. Thank your Mentor Day. Well, excuse me for I wrote kind of sloppy. And we better close with our song. Visit your local quilt shop day. And York native elderberry out of edible landscaping. The York, it says Sambucus canadensis. Your native the York is a native elderberry similar to Nova, except its fruit ripens a few weeks later. Carefree and will pollinate with other native varieties. Space 8-foot circles, zones 8, or height 8 foot, zones 3 through 9. Wow. Okay, well, we'll get almost a 2-minute little practice period. You can, after your video's over, you can do it a little longer. Okay, and our word for peace is Hetep, out of Egyptian. I do not know what anything is for. I do not know what that bamboo leaf is for. I do not know what is for. I do not know what that 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 is for. I do not know what anything is for. I do not know what anything is for. We did about a minute of our 2-minute. You guys finish it off when we close. Hetep. I do not know what anything is for. Hetep.